Hi, I'm Bev Evans 22 and today I'm going to show you 15 ways to use PowerPoint in your classroom. I get a little fed up sometimes with people saying that PowerPoint's old-fashioned, not relevant, not useful. I find it really useful. When I started working in education a long time ago, I was an LSA working in special needs, and we had to make a lot of our own resources, and we had to use what the school had available, and that was mostly Microsoft Office. So I became quite creative with it, and I think there are some ideas here worth sharing. There are some ideas that you may have heard from other places before or seen on other websites, but I still think they're worth sharing. So here are 15 ways you can use PowerPoint in your classroom creatively and to support inclusion. I'm going to start very simply with recording audio. You might have a child in your class that struggles with text, and yet you still want them to record their work and display it nicely and maybe make a presentation. On PowerPoint, if you go to the Insert menu and go to Sound, you can record sound directly onto the PowerPoint slide. All you need is a simple gooseneck microphone which you can pick up in a pound store. The child simply presses red to record and stops when they've finished. They can play it back to check it, give it a name and press OK, and their audio file is then immediately within their PowerPoint. It means that children who struggle with writing can get more information on their PowerPoints in this manner, maybe just add in a few sentences and pictures to support it. Another idea for supporting inclusion is using layout templates. I know lots of people don't choose to use these, but I find them really helpful with children who might have difficulty or additional needs. For example, using this layout template, you've got the click to add text and you've got these icons here. If I click to add a picture from file, the picture is inserted in exactly the right sort of size that I would want. The child has not copied or pasted something inappropriate from the internet and has not had to resize it in any way. They could resize it if they want to, but it looks fine as it is. If I use another layout template, I'm going to show you a third tip, which is smart custom animation. Once the child has the picture in there, particularly if it's a child who doesn't like to do a lot of writing, they can add a few bullet points. I know not everybody likes bullet points in a PowerPoint, but for some children just getting that key information down is fine. If I write a sentence in here, very simply, and I'm just going to extend this a little bit and then change the colour of that text because I don't like it in white. If I now go to custom animation and add an effect, very simply you can see that when I click the PowerPoint that's going to descend. But if the child then presses return and adds a second sentence, you'll see that in the custom animation panel automatically that has come in with the same animation. So when I press to play here, doesn't want to play, look. It's not playing ball. That they will both come in. I'll do it this way, I guess. If I click once, here comes one. If I click again, the second sentence comes in the same way, very simply. Third, or rather fourth idea is stop motion animation. Stop motion animation can be easy or tricky in PowerPoint, depends what sort of level you want to do it on. All you need is a PowerPoint, your drawing tools or some clip art and access to something like Windows Movie Maker. This is a very simple animation made by younger children. If I just click to show you this. And this is a more complicated one showing line drawing techniques using the drawing tools. It's not that difficult to reproduce, and there are tutorials on my YouTube site if you're interested in doing this sort of thing. Let's go to the next idea, and this is using PowerPoint for art. You can make shape pictures with the drawing tools quite easily, but you can also make texture pictures, and you can use the photo editing effects to great effect using all sorts of different things to make composite photographs or collages, whatever you wish. Lots of creative ways of using PowerPoint for art. Another idea is to use word art. This is an image that I've put on a PowerPoint, By downloading some unusual fonts and allowing children to use word art, they can make a little shape sort of poem using word art and the transform tools that come in PowerPoint. Right, now we're going to get on to things that maybe are a little bit more complicated. This is idea number 7, and this is about making your own templates. This is a PowerPoint template that I have made using PowerPoint, AutoCollage and AutoShapes in PowerPoint. It's not difficult to make your own themed PowerPoint templates to match themes that you do in your classroom, and it looks much nicer than some of the templates that you can download. As before, there are full instructions for this on my blog site, which is technostories@wordpress.com. Now we're going to have a look at triggers. Triggers are those things that when you click something, it's like cause and effect. I've got a few examples of these used in resources. I'm going to start with, not this one, but this one. This is a counting teaching resource for early years or SEN. When I click this trigger, the alien will drop down. Then there's a trigger on the alien. When I click him, the number 1 comes down. Then you can ask your children how many did they count, and when you click here it says 1 alien. It's very simply done with triggers. Another example of triggers is this shape reveal activity, again made for SEN and early years, where these are all triggers, and each time I click one something will reveal. So reveals part of the shape. You can talk about the shape with the children in the class and they can try and guess what the shape is. Very simple idea using triggers. If you want to get more complicated with triggers, and you can get much more complicated if you want to, you can use them to make word searches. This includes the use of transparencies with your AutoShapes. So here we have a word search for plants, and when you find a word in the word search and you click on the initial letter, a transparency overlays it using the trigger, and also it gets knocked off here at the bottom. I'll just show you with a few more. It doesn't take that long to make this once you've had a little bit of a play around. So that's using triggers and transparencies. We're up at idea number 10 now, and this is mind mapping. This is a mind map that's made in PowerPoint. It uses smart art, connectors and text box. It's very, very simple to do. You don't need to buy lots of expensive mind mapping software. You can just show the children how to connect things together. I've done this in an additional way, so it's got lots of animation on it so that you could run it as a presentation, but you don't need to do that. It just works nicely as a mind mapping tool. Okay, number 11. This is one of my favourites. This is using motion paths. Motion paths are one of those things in PowerPoint that quite often people are not sure what to do with. And I know children in the classroom just find them really funny and try and make things whiz all over the place and look silly. Motion paths do have a practical application in PowerPoint. This is a letter formation activity, and this has been created using triggers and motion paths. So if I play the slide, here's the letter. We want the children to practice formation. You can see that it says start here, so we click the green button, which is a trigger. A pencil appears. I've got some sound in this PowerPoint, so if I want to click here, the child can listen to that sound. And if I click here, this will start the motion path on the trigger, and it will form the letter formation for A, and I can do that as many times as I like. Now on this PowerPoint, if I click through, we've got something that you can use with your interactive whiteboard where the children could go on the letter, they can listen to the sound, they can have a go, write in it and click through the alphabet, or you can use the triggers to go back and choose another letter. And again here you can listen to the sounds or just choose the letter directly. So it's a really good way of using motion paths in a PowerPoint. I've got another example here which uses, as you'd imagine, numbers. This is slightly different because you can see we've decorated these slides in a different way, but it's the same principle. There's a rhyme here for number formation. You click for the pencil using the trigger, click green for go, and it will go around the route to show you using a motion path. It looks complicated, but it's not as complicated as it looks, and there are tutorial videos on my YouTube channel. Right, next we're going to look at write-in boxes. This is using the toolkit, and there's an explanation of this on my blog site, which I've mentioned already, technostories@wordpress.com. Write-in boxes can be used in numerous ways. This is a template for Jack and the Beanstalk. Each slide has a box here, but on this side we have a word bank to support children, and they just write directly in the text box while the PowerPoint is live. Very simple idea. Another way that I've used this is in this living things, think about activity. These are a little bit like concept cartoons. There's the balloon. Here we've got some children posing questions or making statements about what they think. And after you've gone through all of those, the child can write their own thoughts in the write-in box. Another very simple idea. Right, moving on from writing in boxes, we come to multimodals. Lots of you may have seen Tim Rylands talk about multimodals. I'm also going to show you a macro here that only works on older versions of PowerPoint, but some of you may find useful. So let's look at multimodals. For this we're going to look at this. Usually these would be saved as a PPS file, so the child never sees it in this view. This is based on the poem The Highwayman by Alfred Noyes. And if I press play, it will take a little while to load up. It says their activity. They have a video to watch here. This is an animated version of the Highwayman poem, and you can click to stop and click again to start it. When they click through to go through to actually work on the activity, there are some writing prompts here at the bottom. So writing in the first person, checking the punctuation and spelling, save your work when you've finished, a smaller copy of the video for them to work on, and if they need to, there's another space on the next slide. It's just using the toolbox in PowerPoint to add the write-on box and just inserting the movie from file. Another way of using multimodals and macros is this macro that you can download, which is called Drag, Drop and More. I think it's from a German developer, and I found it from Alessio Bernadelli's blog on NGFL Cymru. But there are other ways to find it. It's called drag and drop, but it doesn't really drag and drop. It's more a click to pick up and a click to put down. So I've got some shapes here, and you can see them quite clearly in this view. So usually I would save it as a PPS. If I run it, you click the circle to pick it up. So you can see it's now picked up. And you drag it around the PowerPoint. And you can see that it will go around the edge of the shape. You drop the circle and you can click to reveal the shape. It's a very simple macro activity. You can do much more complicated things with the macro activity, particularly if you look at Alessia's blog, but it's just a good idea that I thought was nice for younger children, those with SEN. Right, we're up to idea 14. This one is one that I really like, and this is using PowerPoint to support early skills, mouse skills in children with SEN or early years. This uses triggers. This is a simple dot-to-dot activity. The child has to click on the first dot, second dot, and just continue to build the picture in dot-to-dot form. Now the way I've done this is that when they've finished with the actual dot-to-dot bits, the picture will appear. They can repeat the activity, or they can exit to finish. And I've used these symbols because these are universally recognisable by a lot of children with additional needs. Right, finally, we're at the 15th idea. I'm going to show you lots of things very quickly now. I think that PowerPoint is really good for supporting literacy skills in all sorts of ways. You can make comic strips because you've got lots of nice speech bubbles, and all you need is clip art, and these are all individual auto-shaped frames that can be filled with a background so that you can give it a little bit more personality. This is a newspaper template in PowerPoint. I've got this in an old-fashioned and a modern form, and again I've used templates here so that children can insert pictures and make sure they're the correct size without having to do a lot of resizing. This is a Story Maker PowerPoint. This probably looks better if I reduce it. This is a PowerPoint where I've put clip art around the side so the child can drag pictures onto the slide and write a little bit in the box. This is a one for younger children that they could work on together in front of the class, based on the story of owl babies for retelling the story. And this one here is more creative for older pupils, particularly boys. This is a football themed one, so it's a really nice way of using it. This is a e-reader book template where again they can click to add text. It's got instructions written on it, and also in here, if I press here so you can view it as a slideshow, I've embedded a shockwave file so that the right time and the right date always comes up when the work is displayed. It's just a nice touch and something you can do with the toolbox. Of course, there are lots of other different book templates, and this one is another one I've got, which is based on an old-fashioned leather-bound book. And again, it's got these here, and what I would do is, while it's in this view, the child would use that to write and then click, and the text would appear. Now, this is the final literacy idea I'm going to show you. This is inspired by a website called Picklets, and usually I would save this as a PPS file. I'm not really a big fan of the term magpie it, but it was something that I created for somebody else. Children use the trigger here to click through to choose a picture they want to write about. Let's try that one. And then they click on the picture. The picture appears with a useful word bank for children who might need some extra support, and another one of these fabulous type-in boxes that you can type in directly while the PowerPoint is live. So that's it. 15 ideas for using PowerPoint in the classroom. Really, we're just scratching the surface. Like I say, look at the YouTube site for some ideas, look at my blog site, Techno Stories, for some additional ideas, and you can always give me a shout out on Twitter using my handle at BevEvans22 if you want to find out a bit more. Thanks for listening. I hope you've become a bit inspired.